everybody. Hope everyone had a good coffee break and some snacks to get back for the second part of this very exciting program. Thanks for being here today with me. Thanks for your time. Also for those who join remotely, thanks for joining us here. First of all, thanks to the Transportation Innovation Forum for inviting to speak, to have Shell here and to have allowed to speak me to you, but also very much an opportunity of how they brought together some really dynamic experts across the industry to talk about some really important topics. Today, I hope to talk to you about how we go together about growing our road transport industry, but mostly also about how together we are able to decarbonize it and make it ready for the future as we go. Of course, transportation covers everything. It's marine, it's aviation, it's road transport. And as Shell, we take every sector step by step to decarbonize it in the future. I'm responsible for a global business of commercial road transport across the globe. And therefore, today we're going to focus also on road transport. Before I begin, I need to share this slide with you. I don't expect you can read it, but you can read it in full detail at shell.com. But there's a cautionary note I'm obliged to share with you because today we're going to talk a bit about the future. And the future is uncertain. And hence, my legal team has asked you to share with this an overview so we're clear what we're going to talk about. But let's get to the exciting stuff. Road transport. So we know road transport, and many of you are living and breathing every day in this room, is about the heart of economic growth. We move people to their friends, to their schools, to their homes. We move goods around the world and Shell has been part of that for more than a century already across the different transportation modes. That also means that we play, as a transport sector, a fundamental role in decarbonizing this sector. And you probably know the numbers. 25% of the world's energy consumption is related to transportation. 20% of all energy, carbon dioxide emitted, is also related to road transport. So we have an incredible task and a responsibility to decarbonize our sector. And the challenge is not only because of decarbonizing, the challenge comes hand in hand with more demand for road transport in the coming years. And that requires urgent action. The Paris Agreement has set really clear targets, what we need to achieve together in order to decarbonize our business. And that challenge, we also see there's an opportunity. And that opportunity is at the heart of Shell's strategy, which we call Powering Progress. Powering Progress is about accelerating the energy transition with purpose, but also profitably, because we still are also part of a commercial business. And we've clearly set out short, medium, and long-term goals of how we're going to get there. So by 2050, Shell is a zero-emission business. And that means that we're transforming our business with customers, with governments, with partners all around the sector. And that means to do so successfully, that could imply that Shell is fundamentally and drastically changing its asset base in the coming 30 years. Today, we have a very strong asset base across the globe. We work with great customers. We have a great portfolio of technology and market positions, but it's not something that will get us to the future. We cannot sit still. So we'll take opportunity to transition, and it's good to appreciate that if we will do so, and our aim is to produce more low-carbon fuels, that would really mean by 2030, we will have to reduce our production of traditional fuels by 55%. And so just to give you the scale of the effort that is needed in order to make the change happening. And how are we doing that at Shell? What are we doing today already? Let's give you a couple of examples. We're building the largest biofuels plant in our chemicals and energy park in Rotterdam, the Netherlands. Opening up, targeted 24-25, which will produce biofuels for both aviation as well as road transport. We're increasing the use of LNG in shipping and in trucking. We are working on putting fuels, electric cells together with OEMs like Scania, like battery, but also fuel sector cells for hydrogen as well as ships. And clearly, electrification is also a big part of the journey, which goes beyond just trucks, but also, for example, ports. So therefore, we believe this mosaic of solutions, biofuels, electrification, and hydrogen, needs to come together in action now and in the future in order to successfully meet the growing demands, but it also with less carbons. So let me share a bit what we see happening in the industry as challenges. This is not an easy sector to decarbonize. We call it always a hard-to-abate sector. We see three challenges: the size of the task, the sector fragmentation, and the cost and transition that we face into. So let's first deal with the size of the task. Around 3 million companies globally are part of the road transport industry. Together, by 2050, we see them having around 400 million medium and heavy-duty vehicles, of which around 85 are heavy-duty vehicles. Today, we've got 40 million heavy-duty vehicles on the road. So that amount of change needed in terms of investment, in terms of innovation, in terms of effort, is significant to decarbonize that amount of trucks globally. The second challenge is that we face into is a segment fragmentation. We know this industry has been extremely cost efficient, also because of the way the sector has been organized itself. We have outsourced models, but also we know that, especially also in Europe, but also in other countries, we see a significant degree of different regulations, of different technologies and fuel solutions available in different markets, and different timelines of how regulations and penalties and incentives come through. So very much a very fragmented industry from multiple dimensions, and that's difficult to crack. Can you imagine being one of the 3 million companies that need to go about it, let alone all 3 million companies need to be able to navigate through this very complex setup we have today? And lastly, it is a competitive sector. This sector works with slim margins, and slim margin means that we need to be highly, highly efficient. And then the question is, as many of you as fleet operators make decisions on trucks where you look at a total cost of ownership between 4 and 6 years, the question is, are you able to absorb new technologies which will give you operational risks? Novel fuels, new powertrain technologies, or even to be developed infrastructure that need to come in order for you still to operate efficiently and competitively. So all in all, this challenge is really about how to grow and support a key part of our economy while remaining cost competitive now and in the future, and addressing then the decarbonization challenge, a challenge that we need to work on today, which we cannot wait for in the coming decades. So let's talk a bit then about how can we go about that challenge. Clearly today, solutions are available in the industry, and we call this the mosaic of opportunities you see in this circle in front of you. We have a range of low emissions and zero emissions technologies available in the market. But clearly, these are all at different stage of commercial readiness. They're all different in market availability across Europe. And it also means that not every single energy solution will fit every single transportation company, because they have different means of operations and different needs of their end customers or shippers, for that matter. And within that, we strongly believe that if that mosaic will become the right way to go forward, it requires then the policy support we need. Because we truly believe that if we're able to decarbonize now, tomorrow, but also in the coming decade, the sectorial approach is critical. And it means where supply and demand needs to come together, but we only can come together if policies around us will help us to enable that and to commercialize that also effectively. So maybe quick zooming in on the mosaic solutions. Clearly, the end game of road transport is zero emissions, battery electric and fuel electric. We work with Deloitte with a global study in road transportation, and 70% of all the respondents clearly gave feedback that they see that zero emission technology is the most feasible way to decarbonize road transport by 2040, because it will take a time. And we clearly believe that. We believe as Shell that if we put in the right policies, that by 2040, all new sales of medium and heavy-duty trucks can be zero emissions. But it will require a step in sectoral cooperation and a policy change. But we believe by 2040 we can do that. But it also means we still need a mosaic, because 2040 is still a bit far out. So why do we need a mosaic? Many of you in this room know that the average age of a truck in Europe on the road is around 13 years. Today, around 3% of all new truck sales have an alternative powered solution for them, whether it's an engine or, for example, LNG. But it means that still today, only 0.7 of all the trucks on the road have a lower carbon footprint than the traditional diesel. Only 0.7 today. And we just came back from a point to say we need to decarbonize today because the challenge is already here today. So that means we need to act now and do something about it. So that means to the near to midterm, we strongly believe as Shell that low carbon fuels, whether biofuels or bio-LNG, along efficiencies like the OEMs, and probably going to hear some great examples from Scania in a minute, about vehicle design, as well the Shell lubricants, as well digital technology advancements, where we're going to hear a colleague from DKV talk about, is how we come together of driving an efficient and more lower carbon energy system. And we do that today. I think Shell has been very much at the forefront of in introducing and building LNG in road transport. And today, Shell customers using LNG are already seeing an 18% carbon reduction on their trucks, which is a massive impact if you think about what it does if you would not have not done so. But also clearly, liquid biofuels and biogases already today, one of the biggest sources of renewable energy, will play its role in the future to decarbonize fleets now in the 2030s and the 2040s, because we know it will take time, again, to change all those 85 million heavy-duty trucks across the globe. So despite a very clear understanding that zero-emission technology and zero-emission trucks is the way to go, the sector needs solutions today and in the coming decades in order to decarbonize. So what does it mean for Shell and how we go about it? And it means that we go about it that says we help our customers through understanding what they need from us. We work with them to develop, and we see, especially in the first years, we work with anchor customers, we work closely with the OEMs, and then we work on the various offers, whether it's zero emissions, whether it's low carbon, to do so. And what is really clear is that, especially in the last part, that the piece we go about how we go to customers, the partnership, is really clear for us. Doing it together is something we need to really do in this industry, because we cannot do this alone. We need partners with OEMs, we need partners with shippers, we need partners with logistical players, we need partnerships with policymakers and regulatories in order to right now come to the right ecosystem that allows us to be there. And therefore, just to highlight also again, this event is so important of allowing us again to come together and be there and hold hands of how we decarbonize. And it's fair to say that Shell is strongly positioned for us to be an important part in decarbonizing, as well providing energy solutions to keep growing our road transport industry. Today, we already are servicing 30,000 transport customers with 1 million trucks on the road daily. Also ourselves, we are a major logistical player with 3,000 trucks on the road that does everything for our distribution businesses for fuels and lubricants for that matter. So we know what it takes. We know what we want to do, and now it's about us also working with you on the portfolio of options today and tomorrow, how to get there. So let me give you a bit of perspective of what that can look like very practically. First of all, you talked about it, the biofuels. Biofuels is what today helps to decarbonize today. It is a drop-in solution. It doesn't need expensive new trucks. It doesn't need expensive new infrastructure. Clearly, investments in new technology will become more competitive over the years, but if we want to do something today and it's meaningful, this is the way how we need to go about it. And also we know that not all trucks in the coming 2 decades will be zero emission. There will still be internal combustion engine trucks all over the globe. So biofuels and biogases is the aim to be there. And we're building at Shell a very material low carbon business by 2030. And just to give you a size of number, today already we are blending and selling 9 billion liters of biofuels globally, which gives you a size of what this means, of how big we are already, but how important this space can already be to decarbonize. Secondly, and it builds a bit more on what we do today already. Today, already in the markets like Germany with R33, it's a diesel product which has blended of 33% cooking oil, which reduces today, if you put your diesel truck on that site, reduces your carbon footprint by 20%, well to wheel. Similar for the Netherlands, where we have introduced renewable diesel at our truck sites. It allows you, when you go with your diesel truck, fully with no changes needed, you use the product and allows you to save up to 90% of your carbon emissions well to wheel today. And we strongly believe that these drop-in solutions, as we build and grow our production facilities and build presence market, is a way to start decarbonizing today. And there's also for LNG. And clearly to say, I'm not ignorant of the current climate of LNG in prices. We also believe that it's something that over time will need to restore to normal market conditions. And that means that we're very, very committed to LNG. So today we have a European network, over 130 sites of doing LNG, where Shell can offer. And we're moving it all to bio-LNG. So Shell's intent in Europe is to move all our current fossil energy to bio-LNG. And we already have done so in the Netherlands. In the Netherlands today, Shell customers at Shell LNG sites are able to access a bio-LNG blend. Next year in Germany, we're going to open up at the chemicals park a big liquefaction plant, which will able to supply bioenergy for the whole of Germany. Will get us to 100% CO2 well-to-wheel reduction for LNG. So those are massive steps in our perspective that will help us really today again to decarbonize road transportation. And it means not only in Europe, also in the US we're building a sizable renewable gas portfolio to aim to the same thing. And there's hydrogen. Hydrogen is still under development, but will become a critical part where we need to work on long-haul trucking. Because we believe, because of the density, the power, and the refueling aspects, it will be a viable part of the zero emissions game. We're already working that with a number of OEMs building in heavy-duty, high charging, often high high pressure, high capacity hydrogen fueling stations, because we aim to develop around 150 sites by 2030 in Europe. And we're not just building infrastructure. As you probably have seen a couple of months in the news, we are also opening up a green hydrogen plant in the Netherlands by 2025, supplying green hydrogen into the network, which means that hydrogen that's actually completely renewable energy because it's fueled by wind power. And lastly, battery electric vehicles. You saw, I think, already a beautiful truck of Scania standing outside. Clearly, electrification is coming with high pace into the road transportation industry. We expect it to be first on the more controlled duty cycles, but we also shall play our part in this powertrain solution. Today already, we're operating in 100,000 chargers as Shell in the world. We're aiming to move to 500,000 by 2025 and to 2.5 million total by 2030, of which a significant part will be fitted for heavy-duty electrification coming our way. So a big play for Shell already today and moving forward. And lastly, I already talked about digital. We, because of our significant footprint with our current customer base, but also our own operations, we know that digitalization is critical. So give me one example. Interfreight we're invested in. Today we're using it for our distribution for our lubricants products. And because of having more transparency and efficiency gained through digital innovation, we've been able to reduce our footprint by 50% just by a distribution of lubricants products with trucks across Europe. But that means that, again, we can't do this alone. We do with partners, but we need policies that you see in front of us. And also looking at the time, I won't go through each of them, but it shows there's not just one single policy that is able to get us through. We need policy that's coordinated, we need policy that's balanced, and we need that policy that is long-term and stable in order for us, together with the partners in the sector, able to make the right investments with the right partnerships and with the right commitments. But these 6 policy asks is very critical for us in order to move forward, not only for zero emissions, but also very much of providing solutions that today again can decarbonize meaningfully the road transportation industry. Having said that, as my last words, hopefully this gives you a bit of a flavor of how we see decarbonization road transportation. We're clearly committed to zero-emission technologies and zero-emission trucking by 2040. We're very much committed also today to make an impact for society and for our customers and stakeholders today, which is all about low-carbon fuels. But we cannot do it alone. So we truly believe that sectorial approach to decarbonize, together with the right policy development, is the way to coordinate demand, supply, and make impact today. That also gives us, companies like us, the confidence, again, to invest in making those sustainable investments in place that we need now to start decarbonizing for today and tomorrow. So with that, I want to thank you for your time and your attention, and hope Scania will do a great follow-up of my presentation. Enjoy!